Yeah, it's recording. Okay. Keep smiling. We're almost live. Okay, guys, we're live.
All right.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. We open up. Okay, you guys are ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone to the Zorich podcast. I am Chris Zorich, and on today's show we have an awesome father and son team of Jason and Nate Hendricks, the guys behind Dos Leprechauns podcast. I've talked to these guys before. It's kind of, I guess, revenge because you guys interviewed me a couple of years ago, and I have a chance to interview you guys. I'm excited because this is a chance for kind of our fans to kind of see kind of who diehard fans are. Hold on 1 second. To see who kind of what diehard fans really are like. You got a special surprise. We're going to take a look at the man cave a little later. But more importantly, although sometimes we bring former players, current players, I also want to have an aspect where we have a chance to kind of hear and see from fans. And these guys are two of the best. Jason, Nathan, or Nate, welcome.
Whatever. Thank you very much, Chris. We appreciate the time, and it feels a little odd being on this side of it, but the fact that I'm being interviewed by one of my heroes makes it a little easier. So thank you for having us on. We're very grateful for this opportunity.
I will be very nice, I promise.
Appreciate that.
Nate, so actually the first question is going to go to you, man.
Okay.
How did you become an Irish fan?
I mean, that's kind of my dad's fault right here. Ever since I was little, I've only had one team. I will forever only have one team. Notre Dame's been my life. It just forever will be my life.
Nice.
He happens to attend Notre Dame High School here in Riverside.
Oh, there you go. That's perfect.
So a lot of good private schools out there, but when we had the chance to send him to Notre Dame or Aquinas, Notre Dame just had a better ring to it. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I don't know if there's a rivalry in Cali or whatever, but I think Notre Dame had the best chance because there's no doubt that you are one of probably the biggest diehard fan that I've seen.
I appreciate that. That means a lot.
And this kind of rolls over into kind of, I'd like for everybody to kind of really understand what you guys do. So we know your podcast was started in 2015. And this is something that, I love the story. We actually talked a couple days ago, outside of when you guys interviewed me a couple years ago. But I love the story, how you guys got started. Can you share that with our audience?
Yeah, I love sharing that story. So about 5 years ago, Nate and I were literally just sitting in the living room. It was after a game. We were talking about the game and whatnot. And I was asking him, what do you want to do when you get older? What do you see yourself doing with your career? Nate's a great kid. Don't let it go to your head. He was 12 years old, and it's kind of like, all right, let's start thinking of a career trajectory and everything. And he's like, well, I really want to get into sports somehow. I'm like, what about a podcast? He's like, okay, that'd be cool. And so my background, my ethnicity is my mom's Cuban and my dad's Irish.
Okay.
So I was like, how can we blend those two things together? And do you remember, I remember we came up with a couple of really dumb names first. Like we came up with some really dumb names, like, oh, we'll call it Jason and Nate are cool, or whatever. And I was like, well, let's try to incorporate the Cuban side, the Dos, right? And then the Leprechauns are synonymous with Notre Dame, with Notre Dame, University of Notre Dame. So I'm like, Dos Leprechauns, let's do it. And so what we did was, like, a weekend later, we were just chilling, and we literally got a iPhone, turned the iPhone on us, the rear view camera or whatever, sat over here on the couch and just started talking about Notre Dame. It was like, hey, that was a great game. Hey, who was it? Brandon Wimbush looked really good in that game, blah, 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 blah. And like a week later, I want to give a big shout out to my boy, Big O, Oscar McBride. He messaged me on Facebook. He's like, hey, man, I saw you and your son do that live thing. He's like, let me come on and talk some Notre Dame football with you. I was like, is this a spam account? Like, who is this, you know?
That is awesome.
And so Big O was our first guest. And it's since that time, Big O has been a good friend to us. And he's actually come out and done some stuff in my professional career and everything. And love the guy. You know, he's 8 feet tall, but he's a big, gentle giant. And then from there, we just started, like, literally, we would just message a guest, you know, a player that we wanted to have on. And everybody's been very gracious, including yourself, to come on and give us 20, 25 minutes of their time, talk a little Notre Dame football. And that's what kind of makes us unique, you know, as we interview former players, you know, and you don't see that a lot of the time. But going back to Nate, you know, he wanted to get into sports journalism. So I thought that'd be a great avenue to kind of start that up.
No, that's incredible.
And it just kind of turned into this thing. Like I was telling you, we originally started with an iPhone. We put it on a tripod, and we would literally just record live from the phone. You know, it's kind of bootleg, but we made it work. And we go straight to Facebook Live, so there's no any kind of, you know, second takes or anything. It's just raw. And then we had some really, really great people out there that helped us kind of get to another level. So Steve Newman, who's another big Notre Dame fan, Ken Murphy, who's a brother of mine, veteran, just tremendous guy. They sent us some electronic equipment and then some funds to kind of take us to the next level, improve the quality of the show. And so that kind of dwarfed into having some better technical support. And then a friend of ours, Jason Head, said, hey, you need to check out this new thing called a Mevo. Like, what the heck is a Mevo? So now we, you know, for the last, year? Yeah. For about the last year, we've been using the Mevo, and that's a device where you literally put it on a tripod and it records directly to Facebook Live, and you can go to 2 other sites. And it's 4K quality, it's great sound, and it really it's one little device that kind of meets all of our needs. And then
Jason, I'm taking notes here because I think that's maybe something I can look into.
I'll send you the link. I'll send you and Candy the link afterwards. But I want to give another big shout out. So once we do this show on Facebook Live, you know, people are there listening to it and whatnot, interacting, different things. From there, we have a guy that's just another phenomenal person, and I'm trying to transfer him to Notre Dame Nation. Right now, he lives in Texas, so he's a little confused. But his name is Brian Little. He has a show called Your Favorite Blockhead. It's a podcast, and he actually then goes and takes our Facebook Live and transfers it to iTunes so that you can download it on iTunes and Spotify.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
So, love my boy Brian. And then just, you know, again, I know I'm being long-winded here, but just to fill it in. So it's not just Nate and I. You know, Nate and I, we do the show, and Nate helps out with a lot of the research and things like that. But we have a team of guys that have really helped us establish the page that we have on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And they write articles. They do pregame stuff, postgame stuff, put edits up, help with the countdown. So I want to give those guys some love. It's Benny Grimm, Matt Dunbar, Jason Lynch, Jason Pruitt, Wayne Smith, and Jason Lynch. Those are my guys, and they've been with us for a couple of years now. And not only are they big Notre Dame fans, but honestly, they're just really good guys. They're all across the country. We got a couple Ohio people, a couple Indiana, Arkansas. Pruitt's out here with us in SoCal. So it's a really cool group we formed. We're brothers, and we through this whole COVID nonsense, we've been kind of each other's support system since we're not getting our sports right now.
Well, that is great. I mean, you know, if any fan can kind of turn an opportunity like that, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, you know, first starting off with fans, we had a chance to hear about Nate and his kind of experience. Please share with us your experience, Jason. I mean, how did you become a Notre Dame fan?
Absolutely. Everybody asks me that because, you know, a lot of people at work or throughout different circles or whatever, if they, the Notre Dame guy, Jason. Yeah, that guy. You know, it's like, I mean, I got tattoos all over my arm, and I'm crazy. But, yeah, Nate agrees. In 1987, I'll never forget it, man. I was 7 years old watching TV, and I flipped over to CBS Channel 2 out here, and I see touchdown Timmy running back a touchdown, and then I see this grumpy old man on the sidelines yelling at everybody with the weird hat on, and I'm like, Dad, who's this guy? He's like, oh, that's Lou Holtz. I'm like, who? And I'm listening. I'm like, this guy's awesome. Like, I heard him talk in the post game, and he just said some really funny things. I'm like, this guy reminds me of like a grandpa, you know, like he's like this friendly old man, but he's a friendly looking old man, but he's kind of scary. And and then, you know, I heard the fight song. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's really awesome. And from there, man, no joke, something grabbed me. As Lou Holtz says, if you understand Notre Dame, no explanation is necessary. If you've never been there, no explanation will suffice.
Exactly.
And that is the truest statement about that place. I mean, I literally, when I married my wife, that's my second wife, first wife told her the same thing, but I told her, I said, just so you understand, I'm going to put this out to the first date from early September till the end of November. Saturdays are spoken for. You might get a bye week here and there, but other than that, I'm sorry. That's a deal breaker. I understand, but that's the reality. And she goes, oh, I can't be that serious. So I said, all right, come over for a game. So the first time she comes over to our house for a game day on Saturday, she had this look on her face like, what did I get myself into?
Oh, my God.
I think I've missed maybe, and I'm not even joking, maybe 6 games in the last 25 years.
Are you serious?
I work my work schedule around the Irish football schedule. So if we have a big event to plan at work or something, I try to do it bye week or when we play late, or it's a sickness, man. I need we don't need a COVID vaccine. I need a Notre Dame vaccine. So it's crazy, but yeah, we have a game day ritual. We touch the play like a champion today sign and take a picture. Nate just loves that as a teenager.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then we come in and just go absolutely nuts for the Irish coming out. I usually have some choice words and hand movements for the other team, and then just get fired up and run around crazy. I know after the games, my wife always laughs at me because win or lose, I'm out. My voice is done, and I've usually got my cardio in for the day.
Wow, your cardio. That's great. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. So now you're 7 years old. You're watching Tim Brown score a touchdown. Dad, hey, who is this guy who holds whatever? So how does that grow into kind of where you're at now? Like Rabbit fan now. I mean, at 7 years old, you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Well, that season, as you remember, was not the greatest for the Irish. They didn't have a great season. But in 1988, I mean, there was a couple knuckleheads on that team that did some pretty good things. And winning definitely helps you enjoy a team, right?
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
Now I see a lot of Clemson, nice, clean hats out there nowadays, right? I see a lot of LSU, brand new jerseys,
right.
tag stuff. Like, I have jerseys from, 1988 that don't fit me anymore that barely even hold together. But anyways, winning helps,
hilarious.
Dude, think about it. The personalities on that 88 team, who couldn't love that? Whether you're from Indiana, whether you're from SoCal, whether you're from wherever, you got Chris Zorich. You got a guy named freaking Rocket Ishmael on your team. You got Lou Holtz. You got, I'm going to give a cheap plug, Billy Hackett. You got Tony Rice, Wes Pritchett, John Foley, some absolute legends, man. And they played – the thing I really liked about that team, you guys were straight up nasty. You guys played with a chip on your shoulder. You guys hit. It was old school. And that will always be my favorite team in any level of sports, any sport, anywhere. I mean,
oh, wow, okay.
The camaraderie, Ned Bolker, all these guys that were just, I mean, it's just hard to explain the feeling. You almost got, there would be all these things on NBC before the game or CBS before the games where they would do little specials with Holtz, or they would do specials with Rocket or Tony or whatever. And you just felt like you knew these guys, right? And that was before social media. So you're hearing them say, oh, yeah, from South Carolina, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, that guy sounds really cool, Dad. And, my dad would watch with me for a little bit. And it was just awesome. And from there, 89 was a good season. Really, if you think about it, I didn't really experience Notre Dame not being a premier program until I was about 17 years old, 90,
okay.
When Bob Davie took over. And nothing against Bob Davie, but come on. And then it got rough for a little bit, right? So I had to teach myself, hey, we're not always going to win every game. It's funny because Nate and I talked about it a lot. I said, man, when I was a kid, there was no, gosh, I hope we win this game against Navy. Gosh, I hope we win this game. It was like, how bad are we going to beat the crap out of them, right? And now it's I still love Notre Dame football more than anything, but you're kind of like, oh, damn, that triple option is going to be tough this week. Are we going to be able to defend it? But man, I stay loyal, and no matter what, for us, it's a passion. It's a part of our life. And I mean, why are you going to be so invested in something if it's not something that you enjoy? And
very true.
And then the clincher for me was when I went to my first Notre Dame game at USC in 1990.
Okay.
And being in that environment, I mean, I was 10 years old, so my dad took me. I was 10 years old, seeing us win, and just it was just a great environment. And I remember after the game, I was walking down by this chain link fence, and I see all of you guys just filing out and everything, and everybody's just joking, having a good time. And I don't remember who it was, to be honest with you, but somebody gave me a high five. And I had this dorky little Notre Dame cap on, and my dad was like, "Oh, we got to go. I was like, "No, I got to go see the team." And it was just something grabbed me. And then again, that just kind of catapulted it into where it's like, I can't miss a game. I mean, I would play Little League on Saturdays, and I'd have to like rush home to make sure I made it for kickoff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Nate, so we heard about Jason's kind of first game experience. Do you even remember kind of your first game? Because I'm sure, like, when you're like 1 or 2, you're probably thrown in front of the TV. You probably had to sit there and watch anyway. But what's the first game do you remember?
Well, I remember Stanford. I think it was like 2013 or something like that. We weren't that good that year. And I mean, I didn't really know football enough to understand what was going on.
Right.
But
you're watching on TV, right?
Yeah, I would watch every game.
Okay.
But we were actually there at that Stanford
game.
Okay.
All right. So in 2013, you were there.
Yeah. So we were watching the game, or we were at the game, we were watching, and then they were getting like blown out. And then I was like, well, I mean, they're probably going to lose. But then there was that fight. And there's always fight in every game, I think. And even the Clemson game 2 years ago, I mean, they still put up a good fight. But anyways, I just thought the environment of football was just kind of a little crazy. Like, you don't see that anywhere else. You don't see tailgating as big as football in basketball, baseball, tennis, soccer, whatever. But I just think it's a highly different sport with football.
So you are listening to the Zorich podcast with the guys behind Dos Leprechauns podcast, the father and son team of Jason and Nate. All right, So Nate, do you remember your first time at Notre Dame's campus?
Yeah, I do.
Kind of share that with us?
Yeah, so it was, what year was it? 2014, I think.
Yeah.
Wow, the next year, okay.
Yeah, it was the first game of the season against Rice, and still, I didn't understand football as much as I do now.
Right.
And I was only in like 5th grade or something, so like I had to. They took me out of class like early one day, and then I was like on a plane. That was my first time on a plane or whatever. So I thought
that's awesome.
I thought that was cool in itself. And then we went into Chicago. We saw the White Sox play, and then we went to Notre Dame the next day. And I mean, it was a crazy feeling. I mean, the campus is so beautiful. It's just, you can't even explain how you felt when you went in there. It just takes your breath away.
That's awesome. So did you spend the whole day walking around before the game, or what was that like?
We actually got there like on a Thursday or something. I took almost that whole week off of school, which was cool.
Thanks, Dad. Really?
Yeah.
It was research and history.
So that was like a Thursday. So we were kind of just hanging around, and we were on the outside of the stadium, and we saw the players coming in for practice that day. And Joe Smith from that team, like I said, hey, whatever. And then I was like, hey, can I have your gloves? And he said, yeah, I'll give them to you after the game on Saturday. So I was like, that's really cool.
Wow.
And then I also remember the Brian Kelly podcast the next day, and meeting Brian Kelly. And then just the game on Saturday was insane.
Midnight Drum Circle.
Yeah.
The other thing he probably remembers is that I was told by my wife not to get him too much junk food. So I was like, well, donuts are like dairy, right? There's milk involved in somewhere in there. So we went to Krispy Kreme, and that was our dinner for like the night after right after the midnight drum circle.
Oh
we got
my
like
God.
2 dozen Krispy Kremes and just smashed them in our hotel room. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So you guys had a chance to see the drum circle. You guys had a chance to see, I mean, kind of all that stuff. I mean, can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure he got the whole experience. So we got there early, like he said, and I want to give Nate credit because I'm not a good flyer. I don't like to fly. I'm scared to death to fly. I'm a big old chicken. And this guy, like a pro, just walking in like no big deal, and he's like telling me to calm down. I'm like, no, we're gonna crash. And he's just chilling, having a good time. I'm freaking out. I need a couple whiskey sours to calm me down, but we were good, obviously. Anyway, so we get there. His first time, we got to see Trumpets Under the Dome, Midnight Drum Circle. He got to do the player walk. Martin Diaz, who's a good buddy of ours, actually I shouldn't say it, a friend of ours who's an usher there, may or may not have got us a lot better seats than what we originally had.
May or may not. I love it.
May or may not. I found a ticket on the ground and I grabbed it. But yeah, he hooked us up with a really cool view. So this guy on his first trip to South Bend, was meeting players.
Uh-oh. Okay, here we go.
Okay, sorry. I had a call come in.
Got too excited, man.
It was incredible. It was just really, really cool. And we won the game by a large, large margin. Yeah. Why don't you tell them what happened with Joe and then the next day with Sheldon?
So after the game, Joe did give me his gloves. Yeah. So
how did he find you? I mean, did you wait there after the locker room? Did you wait there at the locker room when you got out?
No, we were kind of like he said, we had really good seats. So we were kind of at the front. So he kind of saw me, and he
remembered.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I don't know if you've ever met Joe Schmidt. He is one of the most. He's an incredible ambassador for Notre Dame. He went to school out here in SoCal, Santa Ana Mater Dei, which is a powerhouse.
Oh, okay.
And his mom's probably watching. Deborah, shout out to Deborah. The whole family is just incredible. And Joe literally found this guy. There's 86,000 people in Notre Dame Stadium.
Exactly.
Joe's looking around after the game, and hey, right there, and he literally just handed him his gloves. We actually, I'll show you when we do the tour. We've got a frame of him with the gloves on right after the game.
That is awesome, man.
Talking about the next day.
And then the next day, obviously, as a kid, you know who the quarterback is and the star players on the team. You don't know the minor guys.
Right.
So the next day, we went to go get some pancakes for breakfast, and we saw Everett Golson and Sheldon Day there.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, hey, that's the quarterback. So we saw him, and then we asked him to come over. I was too nervous to have him come over. So he asked the waitress to come get him. So they came over, and then I took a picture with him.
Point of clarity there. I didn't ask the waitress to bring him over. The waitress saw how excited we were that they walked in.
That's even better.
She's like, they're regulars. So she literally went and told them that we were excited. We're from SoCal, whatever. And they came over and just gave it so gracious with their time, signed a bunch of stuff, took pictures of this guy. Sheldon remembered him when we ended up going to the Stanford game that year. The next year.
2 years.
And Sheldon remembered him.
No way.
And him and his did the little handshake that he does with his mom in the lobby of the team hotel.
That's really cool. As a matter of fact, when you told me that story, I remember the Pancake House that's right off. It's called the Original Pancake House or something like that.
Yes.
Bibblers or something like that.
Yes.
I remember going there with my mom after game, the following morning, Sunday morning after the games when she would come up. So that is awesome, man.
Yeah, we've been very blessed.
All right, so Jay, so now tell us about your first game at Notre Dame. I mean, we had a chance to hear about Nate's. How about yours?
2013. Yeah. Okay, Nate's helping me with my math. I'm getting old. It was. I'm pretty sure it was 20. Yeah, it was. It was 2013, and it was the Navy game, which was super cool because my dad is a proud veteran of the Navy.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, it's always tough for me because every other team that Notre Dame plays besides Navy, Army, and Air Force, I got some choice words for the other team. But with Navy, it's how do you talk
right?
Crap?
Exactly.
How do you talk crap? They're going to go and fight for your freedoms in a couple months, right?
Right.
So I go to the game, and they have an F-18 flyover, and Chris, no joke, the second I stepped foot on campus, my buddy Dan Santana and my friend Amy Minnick, who works at the university, they're like, hey, meet me over here by the Goog.
Okay.
Okay. So I go over by the Goog, and I walk in, and she's like, hold on. So she goes up to the receptionist. She goes, hey, Jason Hendricks from SoCal's here. I'm like, the heck? So next thing I know, here comes Coach Tony Alford, the running backs coach at the time, who's now at Ohio State.
No way.
Comes down, hey, man, I heard a lot about you. I heard you're a big fan. Come follow me. So within 5 minutes of stepping foot on my dream, location, I'm in the freaking Goog. Corey Robinson comes in, and, all these, players, and they're, I'm 5'7", maybe. These guys are 6'6", 6'7". I'm just like, hey, guys. It's just got to go in the locker room. I got to talk to Tommy Reese and Troy Nicholas, and there's a really funny picture of me and Troy Nicholas where, I got my arm around him like this, and I'm literally to, his breast area. It's ridiculous, right? So within 5 minutes. Anyway, so that was my first, few minutes on. Then my first spot I had to go to was the Grotto. I went to the Grotto, and I'm not going to lie, I got a little emotional. I mean, I felt the presence of our Lord there, honestly.
Wow.
And I said a prayer, lit some candles, just sat there. in the tranquility of the area for probably 2 hours. Then I went over to the Golden Dome, went to Touchdown Jesus, went and got some dinner, and then we had, the next day was the Midnight Drum Circle, Trumpets Under the Dome. I did the player walk. Trying to think what else. There was just like, my wife always tells me that I have a lucky leprechaun when I go to Notre Dame outings, because I always end up like meeting someone that I shouldn't, or getting some sort of access that any regular fan wouldn't. Like, it's ridiculous. And it's not like I'm asking for these things typically, or people are, oh yeah, come check this out. You're a first timer. Yeah, come check this out. So, I went to the Brian Kelly radio show. He talked to me for a while, took a picture. He was super cool.
Wow.
Just really, and you know what? The other thing about Notre Dame, like, there's people from all over the country that follow your show, that follow my show, that follow all the other Irish podcasts and everything like that. But I've made some of my best friends in the world through Notre Dame stuff, right? None of us went to school there. Obviously you did, but a lot of the fans didn't go to school there.
Sure.
But somehow we're all united by a school that none of us went to. And it's just incredible. Like, I got Nick Yoder, one of my buddies that lives in Michigan's texting me all kinds of nonsense right now. I met him, on a trip, and now we're texting each other every day, and Billy Hackett, played for the Irish 88 team and all that. And, he and I have been there for each other on some stuff, and I text him probably 2 or 3 times a day. It's just incredible.
That is awesome, man.
And then we ended up winning the game. It was the Navy game where it was the last season with the natural grass.
Okay.
And we were beating the crap out of them. And then they came back. They had what was the quarterback's name? The guy that scored a gajillion touchdowns? Keenan Reynolds. Yeah. They had Keenan Reynolds who it was just running up a storm. And with like 6 seconds on the clock, they were driving. If they had got a first down, they might have been able to take a field goal to win it. Freaking Jalen Smith goes from the east sideline to the west sideline in about, 0.02 seconds and makes a tackle on Keenan Reynolds, and that ended the game. And
that's crazy.
Holy cow. It was just – and then after the game, I'm walking around, and I think I went to Five Guys, and basically the entire O-line was in there. So I'm like, oh, hey, Quentin Nelson. Hey, Mike McGlinchey.
That's
hey,
crazy.
It was nuts. It was nuts. So
we have a chance to kind of understand kind of the background about you guys being fans. So we had a chance to talk a little bit about the podcast, but this is kind of interesting because, you want to share this experience of kind of what both of you guys kind of went through as fans, and kind of let other folks know, like, how great you love the university, the fact you guys are such diehard fans. So you're able to kind of turn you being these super fans into like a podcast. That just doesn't happen overnight. I know you talked about, the first having the camera up there at first, but it takes some planning. Can you kind of share with us some, kind of how it got started that way as well?
We didn't start out as just a Notre Dame podcast. We started out as Notre Dame wrestling, UFC, baseball, whatever. But then when it started to get a little serious and we started to see, people actually like this, we started to just focus straight on Notre Dame. And I just think it's so enjoyable to talk about Notre Dame and not be stressed about it, and not have your opinion and not have your opinions be, you're in California but you like Notre Dame. That makes no sense.
Right.
And to talk about why aren't you a USC fan? You live in California. And having to talk to your friends at school like, hey, why do you like Notre Dame? Well, because A, B, C, D. Like, just stuff like that.
One thing that, I want to bring this up right now. One thing that we really try to stay true to, and I catch a lot of flack for this, is we're not going to ever be that podcast that's going to berate the players and coaches and different things like that. That is never going to be us. Now, internally with my group I'm literally looking at the group chat right now, the guys that help me run the page, they definitely, they're going to be a little more critical of Kelly and some of the things that have, some of the big losses, not winning the big games, etc. Even Nate, to a certain extent, kind of gets frustrated. But for me, it's like, what's the point of being such a diehard fan if it's so painful for you when they lose? That's always something that just blows me away. Yeah, you can be a little critical. Hey, man, maybe he should have called that play, whatever. But do people really think that Coach Kelly and his staff are sitting at night thinking, damn, how are we going to blow this game?
Right. Right.
or the players are sitting there studying for finals like other schools don't have to do and saying, hey, let's find a way to really miss that tackle or miss that pass or miss that route. No, that's not it. At the end of the day, these are 18, 19, 20, maybe like in Sean Crawford, 28-year-old kids who are putting it out on the line for our enjoyment. And the least we can do is support them through thick and thin. And some people are like, oh, you only do that because you want autographs. I'm like, actually, if I ask for an autograph, I ask them to personalize it to us. We're not going to be these assholes that go, sorry, pardon my French. We're not going to be these people that go and sell the gloves on eBay to get somebody to sign. That's just not us. All of our stuff mostly says to Dos Leprechauns, to Nate, to, you know. So, no, we don't use it to try to gain any favor. We use it because I love Notre Dame. And why am I going to sit here and waste my time on a program where I can go to 15 other podcasts and hear them talk about how crappy they are? Why don't we talk about how good they are, how good they look, how good that young, you know, freshman receiver looked, whatever. That's what we try to really focus on. And again, we take a lot of heat for it, but I'm willing to take the heat for it to stay true to, you know, what kind of brought us here.
Okay, Nate, are you a fan of that too? Or, I mean, what's your perspective?
I mean, at some points, like, I like to critique Kelly. And, I mean, I'm not the one coaching. He's under a lot more stress.
A little bit.
Yeah, obviously I can't do his job. I mean, he's getting paid a bunch of money for it. So, I mean, whatever he sees fit is what's needed. And if he had called A play instead of C play during the Clemson game, I don't think it would have made a difference. But, I mean, yeah, I criticize Kelly. I kind of need to calm it down a little bit. But I think I just need to I don't know, see a little more productive wins from Kelly.
It's one thing to be critical, and Nate does a good job of doing what I call constructive criticism. You know, hey, maybe we should try this, or maybe this is happening. Or that's what Nate does. He's not one of these fire Kelly. Oh, we need to bring in Urban Meyer. No, I think Kelly's done I'll say a good,
reasonable,
a really good job in my opinion. Not great, not excellent. We're not over that hump yet. I still think we're like a tier 2 type program where Notre Dame should be tier 1.
I think as of right now, isn't he the winningest coach?
He is, and I think that comes with being there for coming up on 12 years now.
Mm-hmm.
That said, we need to win one of these big games, man. I mean, Michigan last year was embarrassing. The Georgia game was kind of a letdown, but it seems like there's been sprinkles of that. The Oklahoma game back in 2012 on the road was pretty big. There's been some big wins, but not the signature win. Like Clemson comes to town this year. We'll talk about that in a minute in terms of the schedule this year. But Clemson comes to town this year. That is, in my opinion, that's a must win. If Kelly doesn't win that game, especially if the season's shortened like it's looking like, then even Mr. Positive over here might have to be like, what the hell? Especially if we get our doors blown off. We've got so much talent on this team this year. It's ridiculous. There's no reason we can't hang with Kelly Leak, who I call Kelly Leak, Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback at Clemson.
Trevor Lawrence, right. Wow. All right, everybody, you are listening to the Zorich podcast with the guys behind Dos Leprechauns podcast, the father and son team of Jason and Nate. If you'd like to listen to this interview and others from our podcast, please check out my YouTube page at Chris Zorich 50 and click the subscribe button. So before we went on, we kind of had maybe 5-10 minute conversation, and you actually shared some information with me that I had no idea about because I was, of course, getting ready for the show.
Yeah.
But you being the Notre Dame super fan, could you kind of share with us what you told me and I was shocked about?
Yeah. So actually, I want to give credit where credit's due. We work with a gentleman named Brian Driscoll. A lot of fans listening are familiar with him. He's one of the premier, in my opinion, the best Notre Dame football writer out there. Notre Dame Athletic. He runs a site called Irish Breakdown. It's a part of Sports Illustrated.
Okay.
Cheap plug. You can find him on Irish Breakdown, Sports Illustrated. He also posts a lot of his original articles on our page.
Great.
But Brian mentioned to us on the page that unfortunately it does look like the Wisconsin game this year is off.
Wow.
So not only is it not going to occur at Lambeau, which we thought they might bring it back to Notre Dame, but it was confirmed that game is actually off for 2020. So
this is like breaking news. This is amazing.
It is, yeah. It's out there. A few people have posted about it, but that's not happening. And then a lot of the conferences, Big Ten, I think the Pac-12 even just mentioned it, have said they're going conference only this year.
Right.
And as we all know, Notre Dame is not officially associated with the conference in football. However, there's some rumblings that the ACC, because they like money, is going to want to bring Notre Dame into the fold for 1 year and say, hey, you can play 6 or 7 ACC teams, which I think we already had like 5 or 6 teams lined up
already, right?
So they'll play an ACC heavy schedule, maybe 6-7 games, something like that. Navy, I think, is still a given since they're independent. And then I saw Brian post a couple of other possibilities of teams we might play, including, let me look this up real quick. There was one like Liberty, Army, BYU, maybe going out to Provo. So there's some possibilities. If you ask me right now, with everybody freaking out about the rising numbers, although deaths are going down, so, whatever. I don't want to get political, but you know what I mean. Right now, I'm thinking we're going to get 8 or 9 games in, and I think that's a realistic possibility. And I'll be honest with you, Chris, at this point, give me something. Like, I need something.
You're tired of watching replays of old games,
dude,
right?
I'm watching replays. I watched a friggin' soccer game the other day. Like, I need live sport. I don't watch soccer, so it's killing me, man. And I know another 8 million people watching this are probably thinking the same thing, that they're just, man, give us something. Like, it's 2020 is just, it's freaking cursed. I 2021 better be the most badass year of all time.
Right.
Because 2020 is a dumpster fire.
Right. And then you're also talking about the athletic director there, Jack Swarbrick.
Yeah.
Made a comment about maybe the season's not starting or something, like not time or.
Yeah. So our Notre Dame's athletic director, Jack Swarbrick, today, and again, Brian Driscoll put this out on our page, Irish Breakdown, on his page, Irish Breakdown, that Jack said in an interview on ESPN this morning, there's a good, he's not optimistic that the season will start on time, which as of right now is September 5th?
Yeah.
So what that means, who knows? Is that, a couple weeks down the road? Is that October? Is that November? I don't think anybody really knows at this point. And that's a little disconcerting. My guess is we probably start in October and play that heavy ACC schedule. We're not going to get the Western Michigan game. We're not going to get obviously we're not getting Wisconsin. I don't think we'll play SC this year because
really?
Pac-12 saying Pac-12 saying they're only playing Pac-12 teams. So SC is going to get a lucky break because we would have pounded the what out of those guys.
So this is going to be an interesting transition for me, but you talked about the first game of the season, and right behind you, I've been kind of distracted because I'm watching the countdown there, and it's an actual count. It's a Notre Dame countdown clock. That's awesome. Yeah,
so I told you the story off air about this. A lot of people, when they see that, ask, oh, where'd you get that? Well, I'm going to make this guy a lot of money, and I do all the time. Everybody always asks me that.
Hold on. Can you adjust the camera? Because now I can't see. I'm kind of excited. Okay, yep. No, I can't see you now.
Oh, my bad.
Right. Perfect.
First time on air, sorry. It's the original countdown to kickoff.com.
Okay.
In Ohio, they make these boards for a lot of the college football teams to count down. I've seen a lot of people buy them and put them in there for like counting down to the wedding, or for instance, the Menifee Police Department just started counting down. I don't know if they use this one, but they had a countdown also. So a lot of people are using these things to count down for different things. And as soon as I saw that, I saw it on it was Kelly's, I think, first year, and he was talking about getting preparation and everything. And he's like, everything's leading to the first game, and he had one of these. And I emailed the guy from Notre Dame Digital Media. I'm like, dude, where can I get that clock? And he's like, oh, you can go to here. So I literally went that day and dropped the money on it. And my wife killed me, but I still got it. So it was all good.
All right, we're gonna talk about a couple other things you got going on in the garage. But before we get there, you've had a kind of very unique experience at Notre Dame. You've had a chance to actually put the pads on. You've actually had a chance to play in the stadium. Can you kind of share with the rest of us, I mean, how in the heck that happens? Tell us about it.
Holy cow. So if you've never heard of it, I'm sure most people have at this point, but if you've never heard of it, Google or go on YouTube and check out the video. It's called Notre Dame Football Fantasy Camp.
Right.
And I've known about it now for about 7 years? Okay, thanks. I've known about it for a while, and I kept telling my wife, I'm like, hey, one day I'm going to get to that. And she's like, oh yeah, sure you are. So I saved all my extra money. Like if I got overtime or if I got some reffing jobs or softball umpire jobs, I put everything aside. I sold a bunch of crap. Might have stole a couple. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, I came up with the money, and I finally was able to go, and it was the most, other than my kids being born and marrying my wife, top 3 experiences of my life. And I'd even probably sub Nate to go again. But
Wow.
but no, it was incredible. I mean, they literally treat you like a player for 5 days. You get
5
there.
days.
5 days. They include all of your food. You don't have to pay for anything the entire time you're there.
Okay.
They put you up in the new DoubleTree hotel right across the street from campus.
Right.
You go out. The cool thing was the first day of camp, the official first time of camp, we went to one of the new facilities on campus in the Crossroads Project or whatever they're calling it. One of those new buildings, real fancy schmancy deal. They had the entire team, all the players, all the coaching staff, and all the fantasy football guys. And Coach Kelly literally kicked off the season last year with us in there. And he's like, we're going to establish a tone here with fantasy camp, and then we got these other camps, and then we're going to get into the season. We're going to do all these things. And I'm like, what is happening?
That's
amazing.
Then
the next day you go and you get fitted for your pads and your helmet. They get you ready to go, and you go in. You have a team meeting. So defensive line, toss the defensive line guys, and you have a coach for them, and then you roll out. And usually it's the graduate assistant coaches that are there.
Right.
But for us, Coach Elston came out and coached us up a little bit.
Okay.
Then they bring back some alumni, and I know, Chris, you went one year, but this year they brought back my boy Irish Chocolate Lewis Nix, who I love.
Okay, yeah.
They brought back Jim Flanagan. They brought back Sergio Brown, who's one of the coolest dudes of all time. Chris Watt. Gosh, who else did they bring back? Tom Gatewood came back, and these guys were all just kind of mingling with you and hanging out and talking just like your buddies. The team captains on the team were there hanging out. So we had QB1 Ian Book was there, Jalen Elliott.
But you guys are also practicing too, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the week, there's a game.
Oh, yeah. So you go out each day. We did 2 days. And
2 days.
2 days. Yeah, we had
Oh, my God.
Practice in the morning, or meetings in the morning, practice, lunch, meetings, practice, and then a lot of drinking after that.
but it sounds like an actual. I mean, that's basically what we did. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm willing to go heads up with you or anything, but we definitely we put the pads on, and it was cool, man. Like 25 years since I played any kind of tackle football.
Wow.
In high school, and we're out there. And there's a couple guys. One of my buddies, Eric Aguilar, big, tall dude out here in California. He played a little bit of Division II college football. So we want to be guys who may be a little older, but they can still lay the hat a little bit.
That's insane. So did anybody get hurt during the week? Or
yeah, everybody gets hurt. I think the youngest guy there was 28. I want to say.
Oh my God! Well, how old was the oldest guy?
Let's see. I think it was my buddy, Brian McNeary. Yeah, it's Brian. Brian McNeary is a character. He's a guy that lives out here in Laverne, California.
Okay.
I want to say he's like, and Brian, if you're watching, I'm sorry, brother, but I think he's like 79 or 80.
No way.
I'm
Are
not.
you serious?
Do I have him on this? I have a picture of. Can you grab that picture, bud? I have a picture of him and I at the Stanford game. He was out there, and he went through every practice.
The pads and everything.
Yeah, here's my buddy Brian McNeary and I.
Well,
that guy.
Yeah, okay. That's insane.
Yeah, so he's a absolutely incredible guy. He took his helmet that we got from camp. We got to keep our helmets. He takes his helmet everywhere he goes, and he makes people take pictures with it. He's like, I don't care if you're an SC fan, hold this helmet.
Oh my God, that's
the guy's
hilarious.
Awesome. So yeah, so he was 80. Anyways, yeah, there was definitely injuries, nothing serious, but a lot of pulled ankles and hammies.
Right.
Everybody kept saying, don't go too hard. Save it for the game. Save it for the game.
Okay.
And I'm like, I told my wife, I'm either coming back in a stretcher or I'm getting camp MVP. So I was going ham, man. I'll never forget Liam Eichenberg, one of the starting tackles right now for the team. He was holding the pad for me, and I was drive blocking. And he's like, oh, calm down, man, calm down. I was like, oh, hell no, I'm trying to kill somebody out here.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah, on game day, I was telling you, you go to Mass in the Basilica, you do the player walk, and our player walk, instead of thousands of fans lining the different areas, we had like 5 of fans. You walk into the stadium, they're playing the Rudy music, you're getting chills, everybody's getting fired up. Get your pads on, you get a game day jersey, game day pants, game day cleats, full pads, helmet, and everything. And then you go out there and they introduce each and individual player, where you're from and why you're a fan. Then you run out onto the field, and they even played the freaking shipping up to Boston with the "Here Come the Irish" song, and I lost my mind.
No way, really?
And, oh yeah, and then to make it even better, they had a guy, and I'm gonna feel so bad because he just passed away. I think his name was Tom, but he was the team photographer.
Wow.
And he recorded the whole game. So when you get home, not only is all your gear that you had at camp waiting for you, all your pads, hats, gloves, cleats, everything, but you get a flash drive with your full game experience on there.
No
so,
way.
I mean, it's just like they treat you like royalty because you pay a good amount to go.
Sure.
But I'm telling you right now, Chris, for anybody watching this that hasn't gone to fantasy camp, you've got to. If you're a Notre Dame fan, you've got to go at least once. And
that's amazing.
Now
you were telling me there were guys that had been there for like 10 years, right?
My boy Smitty, Mark Smith. He lives in Tennessee. He's just an incredible dude. I love the guy. I think he's been every year but 1 year, which is when they didn't have it because of some reason. I think it was in the transition from Weiss to Kelly. But yeah, he's been there every single year since. I mean, this guy's a freaking legend on campus, and he didn't even go there.
God.
So you get hazed by Smitty. So you got to go in. We're all adults, so we got to take a couple shots and everything, and you got to carry his pads and the whole thing. So, but Smitty's a great guy, man. That's my brother right there, and that's what I was gonna say. Is that camp? Not only is it the experience, but all these guys, we're still in like a text group, and we text each other pretty much weekly.
Oh, that's
hey, how's
awesome.
it going? And they obviously canceled it this year, which broke a lot of hearts. But somehow, some way, whether I have to sell a kidney, sell Nate, I'm going in. Sorry, dude, you're cheap labor. But yeah,
that is absolutely incredible.
Got to go to fantasy camp. Look it up. Look at the YouTube video. Go to the website, Notre Dame Fantasy Camp, and you will see why you got to go. You just got to go.
And I mean, and we were talking about this before, but having the chance to kind of experience everything that these players experience. You've done the player walk. You go to the mass. I mean, these are things that, really kind of only the players do.
Yep.
And when they created this way back when, I kind of chuckled like, man, who's going to go to this? And literally, like the first year, they had to turn people away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an amazing experience, but having a chance to kind of hear from you, hear kind of firsthand experience, I mean, that's really cool. And then now, and we can transition to kind of what you got going on in the man cave. But when you came back, you said that there was a package waiting for you. What was that like?
So the last day of camp, they give you this big, humongous box. It's basically like a if you can think of like a half refrigerator size box, right?
Wow. And
you throw all your stuff in there. I'm talking, you get like 2 or 3 practice jerseys, like 6 sets of gloves, 4 sets of cleats, pants, sweatpants. I mean, everything you can, all your autographs from the players because they're all signed and stuff. You throw it in this box, and they ship it back for you so that when you get back home, that box is waiting for you.
No way. That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's and then I think it was like a week later, we got the flash drive from the game, and I made this guy watch it. And of course, he was talking crap because he's a big guy. He's a big guy football player himself, and he's like, "Oh, I would have pushed you around." It's like, okay, dude. So what has to happen is in a few years when he graduates, he's got to go to camp with me, right? Because we got to go heads up.
Oh, wow. Okay, Nate. I mean, when he came back, he had to be talking a lot of crap, right?
I mean, he was, but I was also dishing it out of him.
Okay, all right.
But I mean, he was gone for like a week or so, and I mean that was like the best week of my life.
Wow. Wow. All right. Shots fired.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Zorich podcast with the 2 guys behind Dos Leprechauns podcast, father and son team, Jason and Nate. So, part of how we met, I had a chance to kind of do your podcast a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And you were gracious enough to send it to me, and I love that interview.
Yeah, it was good.
One of the things I thought was great was when I got off the phone, you were like, "Oh, that was awesome! I had a chance to speak to Chris and blah blah blah." I didn't realize you were such a diehard fan. That's pretty cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, just a little bit. like I said, and I'll be totally upfront with you about this. My favorite player of all time is Rocket. That's my guy.
I can see why. No, absolutely.
But I've told him this, and I've told Billy this. You're number 2. And I told when I went to that '88 reunion game in Michigan, I told Billy Hackett. He's like, "Who do you want to meet?" I'm like, "Rocket and Zorro." And I remember you came in. You were coming in off your motorcycle. You rode in with Tony and Pat Terrell.
Okay.
And I damn near tackled somebody, shutter stepped somebody away just to come and grab you real quick. And you were super cool, man. You're like, who's this freaking jackass? But you were super cool. Took a picture with me. It kind of came out a little dark, so we're going to need to recreate that soon. But
absolutely.
I mean, at the end of the day, that whole experience. I got to meet Lou that night, and there's a picture there's a picture that Nate always makes fun of me for in our hallways. You leave our house of me with Lou Holtz finally, right? And I've always wanted to meet Lou. And I'm smiling like I just won the lottery. I was like, it's ridiculous.
That is awesome, man. So, all right. So before you give us a tour of the man cave, you kind of shared this. I didn't know this about you because I can't necessarily see it from here, but you have a couple of Notre Dame tattoos.
Yeah.
To the point where folks at work are oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's real.
Yeah, these aren't the iron-ons or
that's real.
Yeah.
Okay. And wait, were those players over there in the corner?
So I saw a picture. I saw a painting one time, and I saw these guys running out of the tunnel, led by the Leprechaun and some of the cheerleaders. So I printed it out, and my tattoo guy, who's amazing, was able to replicate it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then I got the God Country Notre Dame. We took that off, and that's the exact font that they have at the Basilica.
Wow.
So, yeah. I'm going to finish it, too. I'm going to do and there's the Golden Dome in here in this part.
Yep. Okay, I see it.
Going to finish it off with I'm actually going to get Dos Leprechauns in here.
Interesting.
Yeah, so.
Okay, that's insane. That is a diehard fan.
Nate's got a tattoo on his right butt cheek, but we don't want to show that on air.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Make sure he has clean underwear first, though. Okay, so this is my first time seeing. I mean, I do the podcast. Give us maybe a little.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Want to flip it? Yeah. Are we still live?
Yep. You are.
Okay,
yeah,
here we go. So this is the Leprechaun Cave. We just recently redid a lot of this stuff, but got a lot of cool stuff. I got this actually was signed by Ara Parsegian at a book signing. So that's a jersey made for him. Jalen Smith, Ian Book, as I mentioned, a lot of stuff we try to get personalized. So Ian was nice enough to send that to us. That guy that played a little football at Notre Dame.
Wow.
Here's some of the cool pictures from fantasy camp. That's the team picture we took.
Yep.
That's good. They gave us Sports Illustrated Heisman cover.
Oh, it's even framed.
You probably recognize that play. There's my jersey. There's my jersey.
Nice.
I got to go to the Father Hesburgh stamp unveiling. So there's that.
Wow.
My helmet.
Is that the helmet from the fantasy camp?
Yes, sir.
No.
Yeah. Got some cleats that I've compiled over the years. Some bunch of mini helmets. Got a Rocket signature. Joe Montana signed game ball. Jalen Smith signed to me and Nate.
Nice.
Let's see. These were cool. I bought these. So cheap plug. These chairs right here. They're actually from the locker room.
How did you get chairs from the locker room?
So Augie's, yeah, right. I just stole them. No, Augie's locker room in South Bend has the coolest stuff.
Man.
Yes. So if you've never been to Augie's, you need to go now. He has an online store.
Please do.
Coolest guy ever. Support local business during this time.
Awesome.
For sure. Got Rocket, Rudy poster. So Chase Claypool sent me this. It's his Punish shirt. So Chase Claypool, the Steelers now. Got a couple little basketball things with.
Hold on. Go back. Is that that's a man?
That is a mannequin.
Yep.
What is going on with the connection? Okay. So and then this is the other Notre Dame wall. Got some cool stuff over here too. This is where we shoot our podcast.
Nice.
The countdown clock, as you saw. So here's our glove collection. Big shout out to my buddy Jeff for sending me those Rockney gloves. Got some Shamrock Series gloves. Jason Lynch sent me those, the Respect gloves from the Navy game. And then these are my favorite. This is the ones that Joe Schmidt gave Nate right after the game. And you can see the smile on his face for getting those. Got the Leprechaun ones.
And you have that's awesome, man. They're all like the same.
Yeah. And we got this. I picked these up at camp for Nate, signed by Ian Book and Chris Fink.
Wow.
With the cool message. Some guys signed that. Got this little thing here. I mean, I got too much. Lou up there. I've got a couple things signed by Lou that I don't know where I put those, but this picture right here, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of, her name is Kathleen Kiefer. She's an artist.
Actually, yes, we do.
So
we are big fans. She actually did a painting of me. That's awesome.
Yes, she did. This one's with Eric Parsegian, which is one of my favorites.
Wow.
Signed by the team. And then I got another buddy that does these. He gets these starting lineup figures, and he literally details them to me Notre Dame players.
Really?
And I think he has one of you, Chris.
Wow, really? I didn't know that.
I'll ask him, and if he does, I'll see if he can send me one. You got Manti, you got Boykin, Greg Bryant, rest in peace, Jalen Smith. This is actually one of my favorite things. This is a picture of all the shirts. So the Notre Dame, the shirt.
No way. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, they only put it – in fact, I'm trying to think. Somebody got this for me. I think it was Scott Adams, one of my buddies that lives in Michigan. It was either him or Melissa. They got these out there and sent them back for me a couple years ago.
Man, do you know how rare that is? That's pretty cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite pieces for sure. And then this is a cool one too. I found this online. I had to buy it on eBay, but it's when the Bus and Tim Brown got into the Hall of Fame, they put these out. So
that's great.
This is actually a piece right here from the turf at the stadium. It was some extra turf that they had.
You stole a chunk of turf? That's awesome.
I mean, I'm not going to say I stole it. It might have fallen off a truck somewhere. I'm not going to. I don't ask questions. I don't ask questions.
Fair enough.
This is a pretty cool. So this one, and I don't know why you can't see it right now, but it's a Play Like a Champion Today sign, but it changes colors. So depending on where and when you look at it, it's either yellow or blue.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
Signed by the 2012 championship team, Rocket again. Shout out to Madmore Creations. He is the only one authorized to sell the Play Like a Champion Today actual.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. Anybody else that sells these is it copyright infringement, but Madmore Creations, look them up. They can sell those freely, basically. They are awesome. That's another one you might want to get on the show sometime. His name's Matt. He lives in Ohio, and he's awesome.
That is great.
And then this guy,
there we go.
Yeah.
I made your wall. I'm impressed. Thank you.
What were you doing on that play, though? Because, clearly the ball's going.
I'm doing jazz hands. I don't know if he's jazz hands.
Like, what is he doing? We just, excuse the mess, but we just recently bought these bad boys, and there's kind of a funny story behind that. I bought these from Home Depot, and they're like these carpet tiles, right?
Really?
When I bought them, I definitely mismeasured. So they were supposed to cover the entire man cave floor, and as you can see, I came up a little short.
Next time, I think Nate needs to go with you because Nate probably a little better in math than you are, Jason.
No doubt about it. And then this is just kind of throw. This is the other side of the wall. This is our homage to some of the other stuff. So we got Cobra Kai. We're big Cobra Kai fans. We're Angel baseball fans. Got some Angel stuff. And then my all-time hero in life, Pat Tillman. Got a
that's
big
cool
there. And just some Team USA stuff. We're UFC fans. So we got some UFC stuff. So we're just big nerds.
That's awesome, man. That is pretty cool.
All right, let's bring it back. There we go.
That absolutely is like the ultimate ND man cave. That is awesome, man.
There's a lot of them out there. I think we have some of the more unique items that you'll see, like the shirt thing and
absolutely.
The jersey that I showed you on the mannequin. Cool story about that. We got that at camp, and the first night at camp they said, hey, so every day. That's another thing about camp. Every day at camp they give you a gift, right? So
really?
you're going back to your room. You're like, oh, what's the gift going to be today? So the first night though, you got to pick your gift, and that is a jersey. That's the alternate jersey that would have been worn if they hadn't worn the green.
No, they wore the regular ones. They're
blue.
No, regular.
Anyway, that would have been the other jersey that they would have worn in that game against Clemson a couple years ago in the bowl playoff series.
Wow.
Literally one of a kind. You can't find. I got number 55 because I'm a big fan of Jamion Franklin, who is current nose guard for the team.
That's nice.
So I gotta get him to sign that here sooner than later. But yeah, so that's one of my coolest things. But yeah, real quick, going back to the camp thing, the gifts. So that was the first night. The second night, we got a duffel bag that the team gets that has your name on it and everything. The other night, we got a signed letter from Coach Kelly, basically recruiting us to play at Notre Dame.
Oh, that's really cool.
We got let me show you this piece here too. We got this cigar case.
How about that's even better.
Cigar case. So the cool thing, this came with a note with it, and it was actually a note that Father Hesburgh used to write to incoming freshmen. And he would say, one of my favorite things to do is have a glass of, I don't know if he said whiskey. He said, have a glass of some beverage and smoke a cigar. And so they gave us this personalized cigar case that Father Hesburgh used to use.
That is awesome, man. And then also I saw you had the Sports Illustrated Heisman. Was that one of the gifts or you just made that?
No, that's one of the gifts. That's the second day you're at camp, you get your jersey and they take a bunch of pictures of you holding the Heisman. And then they pick the one that they like and they put it on this cover and it says like, "Here come the Irish, Jason Hendricks recruited Notre Dame."
That's crazy.
It was pretty awesome.
I can see why you want to go back. That is awesome, man.
I'm telling you, 2021, I'm going back somehow.
Regardless, sorry, Nate. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, you'll be around.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope you'll be all right.
All right. Well, we're gonna wind down a little bit, but I mean, give us a kind of a synopsis on where you see those Leprechauns going in the future, and kind of, is there a way our listeners can help? The folks that are viewing this now, can we jump on to your podcast? Can we check out your website, things like that? But more importantly, which is a message I want to get out. I mean, I think this is what the true Notre Dame fan, if they could do this, they would. So that's why I think it's so cool. I get so fired up having the chance to meet guys like you. But I mean, just kind of explain where you see those Leprechauns in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, that's a great question. Just like everybody else right now, we have to evolve because, we're not certain what the future is going to bring related to this year and Notre Dame athletics. So I think for us, what we're looking to do is really just kind of expand to talk about some of the stories that maybe people haven't heard about related to Notre Dame. Maybe there's some hidden stories that we're not aware of,
Sure.
Bringing those to light. We really like to also focus on people doing good things in the community. So trying to think, there's a lot of examples out there, but one of the things I always like about having our former athletes on is these aren't just guys that are like barely getting by in life. You got your thing going. You were an athletic director. You're doing all these things. I'm trying to, Dexter Williams playing in the NFL. All these different guys are doing things with their life and they have great messages. Troy Pride came on recently. So I think just really continuing to highlight the great things that these athletes are doing afterwards to make the world a better place. We live in a crappy time, let's be honest. But you know what I notice, man, is when I go to the store, when I go to wherever, people that you interact with are good people. They're nice. It doesn't matter what skin color they are. It doesn't matter what religion they believe in. They're just good people. And I think that the media is trying to make it to where it's like they want us to fight. They want us to argue. So I really want to continue to just try to, not even if it's not related to Notre Dame, just try to put good vibes out there, man. I mean, live your life, have fun, do your thing, and just be nice. It's pretty damn simple. And so I think we want to focus on some of those kind of things. But in terms of helping out, the biggest thing is just to like our stories, share our stories on the page, continue to tune into the podcast when we have them. At some point here, we're really going to look at possibly monetizing this. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I don't hold this back. I would love for this to be my job, that this could turn into something that's paying the bills type thing. And then eventually pass it off to this guy so that he can continue it on. But, with the culture and, we live in California and it's been tough right now because, there's with COVID and everything. So I've got a nonprofit that I'm working on starting up that I'm going to really work on trying to get kids back on the fields safely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And really try to put some pressure on some of the decision makers to let our kids get out there and get healthy on the fields.
Interesting. Well, Guys, thank you so much for having a chance to be on. And this is kind of payback. You know, you guys did it to me a couple years ago. I can do it to you guys now.
Yeah.
And again, I just want to talk about why I want our viewers to kind of understand kind of the passion and the reason why, one, as former players, we played, but also kind of the understanding of when we play, yeah, we're playing for the guy next to us, we're playing for our school, but we're also playing for a lot of people who are kind of Subway alumni, guys who didn't go there, and it's this passion that's just so amazing about that. And obviously, I'll be a little partial, but the idea that you have folks out there who literally will go to a fantasy camp, will literally hook their garage, hook their man cave up into an environment where, you know, like you said, you live in Southern California. I mean, there's no Trojan fans coming in there, and if they are, you know,
they're getting beat up.
You guys have beat the crap up.
Yeah, they're getting beat up.
But it's this passion that I like to highlight, because I mean, everybody can kind of say they're a fan, and that's cool. But when you're able to kind of turn it into a way where you guys can get folks excited about it, you know, what you and Nate have done, I think is a great story. And that's why I wanted to have you guys on, because I think that it was just really, really interesting to kind of see a fan's perspective, but, you know, a fan that has a lot of ink on his arm, you know, a fan that has a mannequin in his garage. You know, I mean, this is not normal stuff, Nate. I mean,
right.
You know, your dad's a little wacky, but it's a good wacky, right? Because the idea that you're so passionate about something, and again, I think the positive tone that those Leprechauns takes is also important as well. So I want to thank you guys for being such awesome fans, but also understanding kind of what it means to be a true Irish fan.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. You know, it's all about that passion, and you'd be really surprised, I think, to know how many passionate fans there are out there like us. Probably not to my level. I mean, even my guys that are on the admin team with me, they're probably not as crazy about it, maybe, but I mean, they're probably right there. But there's a lot of people, man. There's a guy named Michael Simmerman who has the man cave of all man caves. I mean, I'll have to send you a picture. This thing is, it's out of control. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of us out there, and we appreciate guys like you. I mean, you're not just like some third string, you know, nose tackle that happened to maybe get a scholarship or was a walk-on. You're a friggin' All-American at Notre Dame that played in the NFL. So talking to you, a hero of mine, I wore number 50 my freshman year in high school because you were number 50. I knew I wasn't going to be able to wear 80.
That's awesome. Oh, well.
Or 25. I wasn't going to be able to wear 25.
You could have worn 25, so.
Well, I definitely didn't have the skill set to run like that, so I chose.
So you played D-line, nice.
Yeah, I chose number 50 because of you, man. And talking to you now and having an opportunity to share that passion with one of my heroes is really why this all started, and now trying to get Nate to that same level. I'm hoping in a few years Nate will be interviewing Ian Book. You know, that's his guy. So, you know, we'll see.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I'd like to thank everybody watching on Facebook Live. And most importantly, my producer/wife, Candy. I would not have been able to do this without her at all. I don't know anything about social media. She's the one that kind of does everything. This interview, along with the other interviews we've done, if you guys like to check them out, please check out my YouTube page at Chris Zorich 50. If you like what we're doing, please click the subscribe button. Thank you again for watching. And Nate and Jason, go Irish.
Go Irish. Talk to you later, Chris. Thanks.
All right, man. Thank you guys.
See you guys.